Alex, I just discovered the other day that your dad played college for Eddie Sutton.
Yeah, he did.
How much does he
That's
talk?
a name right there.
Yeah, he's loved in Oklahoma. How much did he talk about that? How much? Any of your game come from your dad, and any influence of Eddie Sutton?
Yeah, he played for Eddie Sutton when he was at Creighton, and he vividly remembers practices with no basketballs, especially beginning of the year. You know, the ball rack would be out there, and then practice would start, and Coach Sutton would just roll them out, and they'd play defense for 2 hours. And yeah, some influence from him. I mean, we used to. I was a ball boy for Texas A&M growing up, so I would show up to the games 2.5 hours early with him. I'd shoot for as many minutes as I could before I had to start rebounding for the guys, do my job on the court during the game, and then me and him would head out and we'd listen to the local radio guys, and we would just talk hoops on the way home. We'd talk about the game, we'd talk about how we played, how the other team played, and looking back on it, I think that's probably where a lot of my understanding of the game came from, and it maybe fast tracked that a little bit because that was 10 years old. You might not be as in depth as I'm talking now about the game, but basic stuff then up until, honestly, it was probably before 10. It was probably like 8 to like 14. So yeah, stuff like that. Just watching basketball with him and talking through the game and having a brain to pick.
When you look at this matchup here against the Pacers, what stands out about this team you're going to face in the rep tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, they're playing at a high level. They've kind of run through their games. They went to 6 with New York. Their game 5 wasn't really their best shot. I think other than that, the 5 games that they played against them in the series, and then 1 and 5 in the first 2 rounds, like they're playing at a high level. So I think their offensive pace is, their fastball. They're really pushing the ball. They're pushing the ball. They're playing with pace, even in the half court, which is something that has kind of been the opposite, maybe besides Memphis that we've played so far this postseason. Memphis did a lot of that, driving kick, play early, where the other teams we played were more sets. So just adjusting back to that and making sure that we're ready to run.
As a great defender yourself, what can you tell us, on Lou Gensdorf and what it means to this club?
Yeah, Lou's a phenomenal defender, obviously. That is without question. I think everybody knows that here. Great that he finally get recognized for that and get his first team all defensive selection. But he's the, we talk about on our team main engines, and usually that means, Shea, Dub type players for the other teams. But for us defensively, like Lou is our main engine. Like when he's into the ball, he kind of sets the pace for us defensively. And however his energy is, whatever his physicality is on the ball to start, kind of sets the tempo and dictates how the rest of us play. So he's a great influence on this team, and then obviously his offense has come around. He's gotten better each and every year, and to where he's now, I think he shot 40% this year on a lot of attempts. Like that's hard to do in the NBA. Like that's not something to be overlooked.
What makes you so effective at creating turnovers? It's been a theme throughout your entire career. When you're on the court, the defense has an incredibly high defensive turnover rate relative to when you're not even on the court. So just what goes into that for you this season and throughout your entire?
Yeah, I think it starts with just competing, relentless competition. Like you got to want to get a stop every possession. You got to want to have pride in not letting the other team score, letting your guy score. A lot of it stems from that, but then also just an understanding of the game. Like I've gotten to play around Hall of Fame players, be coached by Hall of Fame players, coaches, just stealing stuff from them and getting a deeper understanding of the game and anticipating what actions are about to happen. Knowing plays that other teams like, knowing how other players play. Like there was a play against Jokic in the first game where they run a baseline out of bounds play, and I knew that if I kind of bluffed and jumped at him, he would try to quick pass it to Gordon, and he ended up just throwing it right to me. Whereas I don't think I could make that play, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So just being really competitive and then trying to learn the game. You learn tendencies and you're able to anticipate stuff.
Alex, you've obviously been on a championship team. And this team's so young, but not just embracing the opportunity in front of it, but really grabbing it. Do you feel like the guys have sort of seen what is possible here and are really sort of headlong going into that?
Yeah, I mean we've talked about it within ourselves the whole year about what our ceiling is, and when we play at our best, we're a really tough team to deal with, and I think I might have been not coasting a little, but I obviously don't play at this playoff level intensity through the regular season like nobody does. It's impossible to. But I think once I got onto this stage and I showed the guys, because I don't think I really showed them, this level of intensity and effort and, concentration on the details through the season. And I think once they saw that, they were able to kind of pick up on that. But a lot of that too is like, we talk about we're a really young team, but we're a really mature team for how young we are. Like we have an emotional understanding of situations. We have an ability to learn and to improve off of mistakes or off of, wins and successes, which is not an easy thing to do for anybody, but let alone, a young team. So, you try to give me some credit and I'll take a little, I guess, but you got to give credit to these guys for having the ability to get better, the ability to understand and have the comprehension to know what's going on.
Alex, do you remember back to when you were traded from Chicago, what your reaction was that day, and did you envision this?
My reaction that day, it threw off I was about to go to the golf course. I was about to go get some practice in, so I was like, low-key, I was like I wasn't upset, but I was like, okay, I got to make a bunch of phone calls now and talk to people where I was going to miss out on my practice session. But I was excited just, from a standpoint of I knew the people in this organization for the most part. Like I knew how Sam operates. I knew how Mark operates. I knew, the PR team is the same. A lot of the strength and training team is the same from when I was in the G League. So I knew the type of people, and I was excited just to get here and start a new chapter with a really good team and great people that I kind of had a rapport with.
Alex, were you aware that Donnie was a ball boy and it was a ball boy for the Pacers back in the day? That's where he got his
No,
start?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That was a couple years ago.
Can you express kind of what he means to this team and the impact that he's had with his whole group?
You said Donnie?
Donnie, yes. Who's Reggie's ball boy. That's what
We gotta
he's
find a picture of that. Someone somewhere surely has found a picture of that. Yeah, I mean he's like the man behind the curtain. He kind of makes everything run and keeps us moving. And he has a stoicism to him. To just kind of like he's a calming when he talks. It's very calming and it kind of keeps everybody in line. But he has a competitive side too. There was a time, I think in the Denver series, maybe game 3 or 4, where we're coming back to the locker room and it's everybody, from Sam to a couple of execs to our trainers and they're all like high-fiving us, telling us, and like after game 4 we won and Donnie is like, he's amped, like he is hyped, and like I hadn't seen that side of Donnie before, and I think that just goes to show like the organization hires people that kind of all align with the same mindset, to help everybody do your best and all that, but at the end of the day, like deep-rooted competitiveness in this team.
Alex, one for socials. If you can keep 2, cut 1 of the NBA rules that might be introduced, which one would you keep and why? Introducing a 4-point line, 10-minute quarters, or a shorter season?
Oh. I got to keep 2 of those. Mm-hmm. Keep the 4-point line. I don't like changing the season. We'll cut the short season and do the quarters, but I don't like it.
It's interesting.
Yeah, but I don't like it.
A lot of players pick shorter season, same pay.
No. Same, because that's gonna mess our BRI up. They don't understand what that's doing with these rules.
Hey, Chris,
Thank
it's
you.
Financial
What's your
response.
song? What was your favorite song to lock in?
My lock-in song, honestly, this depends how much adrenaline I have going this playoffs. Like whenever I'm in kind of like a normal like stable mood, I've been listening to a lot of Gunna. Yeah, some of the guys have put me onto that. But like if I have too much adrenaline, I'll like listen to like Adele.
Adele.
Yeah, because I have to like bring myself.
Calm yourself down.
Yeah, I gotta lower
Sneaky
this up.
pick.
Yeah.
Can I recommend a song?
For who? For Adele? Oh, for me? Yeah. For what? What is it?
Chief Keef, Neo.
Yeah, that's see. If
Classic.
I'm gonna have to.
Classic.
If I listen to that for game 1, I'm gonna be.
You're gonna foul out.
Yeah, for the first half. First half, I'm gonna foul out.